Hello and welcome back to NBA DFS for Wednesday, November 6th. We are back. All voted yesterday. NBA was off, and now we are back to NBA DFS today. We will jump right into it. But before we do, I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, at FlatTyler83 on Twitter and on your DFS sites. Now, before we get into it, come join us, Lion Star. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do. All the props, all the DFS, you get it all. For all sports we cover, all the tools associated with all of them, you get it all. One low price. Now, let's jump in to the old slate. So we do have 10 games on Draftkings. We have 12 on FanDuel. FanDuel has the 2 night games. We will do our best to go over everything and talk about it all here. So starting with the high-owned plays on FanDuel, we got we'll start with point guard, high-owned plays. Stefan Cassell, 3,900, 5.2x is our projection for him, 26% owned. He's been, high teens, reached 20 once. We have him projected for 27 with the guys that are being out. Does he make it there? Maybe. It is a tough matchup versus the Rockets, though, who are tough versus the point guard. Do I mind going here? No, he's cheap enough and he's getting enough minutes and could potentially get extra that it's at least a little bit interesting, but it's not one of my points I'm really pressing on this slate. I think there's plenty of places to get different and have some value, and this is just not one that I'm super into. Next, Luka Doncic. I'm very much into Luka in this spot versus the Bulls. I also like Kyrie Irving. I just don't like really having both of them together. I may in a lineup or two, but mainly it's going to be the two of them apart from each other just because, one, the Bulls aren't that great of a team. Most likely scenario is that one of those two are going off, not both. It is possible for both, so I may have a lineup with them together or two, but I'm going to try and not have very many of them. I think Luka's in a great spot. He is one of my targets. I definitely am a little interested. The one thing I do have to say is with Kyrie, his ceiling is a little lower than it is with Kyrie off the court. So there is slight concern there. Next, we got Darius Garland, 6,600. Just went nuts versus Milwaukee, and he's in an okay spot here, but it's not one that I'm really going too hard. I'm fine with a little bit because of the Pelicans. They're 22nd versus point guard. He's getting the minutes. I just think a ceiling play isn't really in play on this one, and high ownership, I would likely go elsewhere. Derek White. Outside of Tatum, Derek White gets the biggest bump up from no Jaylen Brown. So definitely interested to go here. It is a tough matchup versus the Warriors, who've been fairly good defensively so far to start the year. But Boston has really blown out everybody. So maybe a tough competitor is better for them to get the main guys, up to 34 minutes opposed to like 29. Malik Monk, 16%. He is the hammer. He is the last game. I am fine going here. My one worry is that in a blowout, it is more likely for Malik Monk to lose a couple minutes than most. And so that is one reservation, but I do like him. Now some pivots. Like I said, I like Kyrie and I like Doncic. I'm fine going Kyrie. We've seen him get to mid-40s. And at 8,600, I'm fine with that high. He's in a good spot. I definitely am interested in Kyrie, who's in a good spot versus shooting guards. Next, Jalen Brunson, 8,600. So Kyrie's hit mid-40s a few times. Brunson's high 40s. And we know Brunson has that ceiling and ability to get to the 50s. And it's a great spot versus the Hawks, who just aren't great versus point guard. And it's a high-scoring game and high-pace spot for Brunson. I'm very interested. I think if there's anybody on the Knicks that breaks the slate, it is likely to be him. Definitely going to have some Brunson. And then I got to go Tyrese Halliburton. Another guy that's in that low 8s and, has big time ceiling. I'm very interested in Halliburton. I have said it over and over again since he's been priced around this area, is the ceiling is just too high not to consider him. And if you look at our team defense tool, it's actually not a bad matchup. We do have the overall rank being 9th, but the DVOA, or team defense, which is similar to a DVOA, it's an adjusted defensive metric, isn't that rough. I'm interested in a spot where nobody's really going there. So also no Bonchero, so that, as a whole does hurt their defense a bit. All right, now getting over to point guard on FanDuel, we got Russell Westbrook, 29% owned. He is only $5K over here. He's in the 6s on FanDuel, and at $5K, it makes a lot of sense to go on and go to. However, Oklahoma City is 6 versus point guard on our team defense tool. Now, the team defense tool is still a small sample size. I usually like to use the 10 or 20, mainly 20, but we just haven't had enough games yet. So 10 will work, and it's really only drawing on, 7 or 8 or so. So sample size, a little worrisome here, but all in all, Russell Westbrook is in a tough spot, but he's going to get the minutes. And the amount of work that he can do from steals and blocks and whatnot definitely makes him extremely interesting. But I am fading, actually, his points, rebounds, and assist prop. I don't love that one. DFS-wise, at 5K, I'm fine having some. I'm not going super hard on it. Luka Doncic, we covered. Tyler Hero, I'm a little interested in. We know there's a ceiling. Suns haven't been great versus guards, for a few years now, so it makes some sense to want to go there. Chris Paul, 5,900, carries some interest as well. Let's get over to shooting guard on FanDuel. Cassell, White, Monk, we talked about them. Mikal Bridges is our first pivot we have not talked about, and I'm very interested in Mikal. He's playing just an insane amount of minutes, 35 to 40 every single night, and this is a up-paced game in one which he could excel. So I'm very interested in this spot. 6,600, getting somebody in the 40s is key, and he absolutely has that ability in this spot. Definitely interested in him, interested in Kyrie. One that's going to make people roll their eyes a little bit. We got KCP. There's no Bonchero. No Wendell Carter, and KCP is going to pick up some usage. He's only 3,900. He's going to play minutes. He played 31 last game. I expect him to be in that 28 to 34 minute range today. Pacers have been a good spot for shooting guard as well. So I think there's a lot of reasons to go here. I would rather go with KCP at 3,900 than Cassell at 3,900. KCP, while points per minute, he's not very good. At least I know he's going to be on the court a lot. Cassell, to be able to, hit what KCP can, will have to be like a 1.1, 1.2 minute per minute fantasy guy, and it's just not what he's been doing. KCP, without some of those guys, is probably around 0.7, 0.75. And then in a decent spot, there is a chance for a high 20s, low 30s spot for him. So I'm very interested in KCP value-wise. Shooting guard on DraftKings. Tyler Hero, Bridges, Cassell, Julian Strawther, 3,700. He's going to get some extra minutes. Played 26 last game out, and I'm fine going there at 3,700. The whole thing is, how many minutes is he going to play? It's really hard to know. He's going to be coming off the bench, but with Aaron Gordon likely missing this spot and Murray out, there's room. And so he's going to get 24, 26 minutes, something like that. 3,700, it's a little bit interesting. fine going there for some value on DraftKings. Small forward on FanDuel, we got Najee Marshall, 3,900. He is the value chalk of the day. I'm probably going to have a lot. We have him at 31 minutes. He played 34 last game and went for 38. If he gets minutes, he's going to do well, and he's too cheap not to. That is the big deal there. And Dallas is missing PJ Washington. Lively is out. There is room for him to play some extra minutes, most likely. And with that, I am interested. Harrison Barnes, 4,400. Another guy that is playing minutes, is cheap, and has a little bit of a ceiling. Can he get to 30? Absolutely. Is it likely? No, but if he gets high 20s, I'm still okay with it. I'm fine with playing a little bit of Barnes, but definitely not going overboard. Jason Tatum's an interesting one here. So no Jaylen Brown, no Kristaps Porzingis still. And you got the whole narrative street of Steve Kerr not playing him during the Olympics. So, hey, he's in a good spot. He's going to have extra usage. And if he has an extra chip on his shoulder, makes it a little interesting. I don't mind rolling some ownership his way, but I'm not going super heavy on him. I think 16-20% is probably where I end up being on him. Mikal Bridges, we talked about. Franz Wagner, 7,600. There's no Banchero, and he gets a bump up without Banchero, and then you also get a bump up from power forward versus the Pacers. So interested in this spot, but it's another one I'm not going overboard on. I have interest in several Magic. Jalen Suggs, I also have a little interest in. Goga, I have interest in. But I'm not going to go super heavy on one in particular. The only one that I'm probably heavy on is KCP, because I do think that's a good spot and people aren't really going there. But Wagner is one that I am interested in for sure and will be playing. Jalen Johnson, 8,200. People have been sleeping on this man all season. I feel like they did all last season. 8,200, and he's given us 350-plus outings. Like, how can he not be higher owned? I know it's a tough spot versus the Knicks, but I'm absolutely fine to going back here in this spot. Think he matches up well, and the ceiling is just too high for me not to want to go there. He put up 49 versus them last year in a 38-minute performance. We can expect 36 to 38 minutes tonight. That is absolutely a possibility for him, and I'm fine going there. Small forward on DraftKings, Najee Marshall, 3,400. He is a slam dunk on DraftKings. 9K for LeBron James. I'm fine getting a little bit, but I'm not going to go hard. Surprisingly, Memphis is only minus 1.5 at home. I would have expected the Lakers to be slight favorites, but it is the other way around. John Morant is doing enough to just keep them afloat, but the Grizzlies, once again, are the walking dead. They have half their team hurt, it seems like, all season, every season. Now LeBron, 250-plus performances the last two games, had the 171. I think most of the times he's going to be in the mid-40s. My issue, which has always been with LeBron, is he is very good for consistency, but not very good for a ceiling. The ceiling outcomes from him are just very far and few between. For that reason, I'm probably not having a ton of LeBron, but I don't mind a little bit. 5K for OG is interesting. He just had a 41 and a 40-point performance. He is a guy that my system continually is popping up on, and I'm interested in him. It's just hard to pull that trigger sometimes, and I'm wanting to limit how many Knicks I have in my lineups because I really do like a little bit of all of them. So I'm probably going to be mixing and matching in lineups, 2 or 3 max between Cat, OG, Hart, Brunson, Bridges, pretty much all the starters, kind of mix and match a couple, and OG at 5K is definitely interesting. I don't like him so much on FanDuel, but on DK at 5K, I would definitely be getting to a little bit. Jason Tatum, 10.2, extremely interesting. Now let's move it on over to power forward on FanDuel. We got Peyton Watson, 3,700, 28% owned. He is another slam dunk spot for value. Aaron Gordon's going to be out. He's going to play extra minutes, and he's interesting. His points per minute won't be as great with starters, but he's going to probably play enough minutes that it doesn't really matter that much. We talked about Harrison Barnes, Wemby, 10.9K. Slightly interested in him. The one thing, he's had 6 games versus Houston and hasn't topped 54. And at almost 11K, that's just not going to get it done. I have a little interest, but not going super hard. And I do think he's going a little over-owned in this spot just because he is extremely volatile. Domantas Sabonis, 9,600. He is LeBron-like, where ceilings don't happen very often. The difference is he is much more likely to get you 50, 60, whereas LeBron is more likely to get you 45. So I'm fine with going with Sabonis. Not going to go super heavy, but if Toronto stays in this game, you're going to want some Toronto and some Kings. Super high game total. If the game stays close into the fourth, there's going to be Toronto guys that you need and Sacramento. It's one of the games where I don't mind a little bit of a game stack. The Kings are 10.5 point favorites. It's a 236 total. Second highest on the slate. And on FanDuel, it is the last game of the night too. If that game stays close, the cash rate for that game is going to be very, very high. Talked about Jalen Johnson, Pascal Siakam, 7,700. Dude has 3 high 40 performances so far, and this matchup versus the Magic is kind of interesting. There's no Banchero. Definitely willing to go here. The game probably stays close late, so interested in that game for sure. Now, power forward on DraftKings, Najee, Peyton, those are the 2 gimme value spots. I like them both. LeBron, OG we talked about, Tatum we talked about, so we'll move it on over to center on FanDuel. Daniel Gafford, 18% owned. I gotta say that I'm getting a lot of them right now. Lively is likely out. My issue with him, I'm going to watch ownership and really try and figure out where ownership is going to land on this spot, because with Lively being out, I'm still not certain they're going to give him big time run. If he gets 26, 28 minutes, he is an absolute smash. He has been crushing it from a fantasy point per minute standpoint. So if he gets those minutes in a decent matchup, I absolutely love him, but I think there is concern that he actually gets those minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he played similar minutes, maybe a minute or 2 extra. Powell comes in for some, Kleber comes in for some, whatever it is, somebody else off the Mavericks bench to just take up some of those minutes. For some reason, they don't want to give Gafford big time minutes. Part of it could be Gafford getting in his own way with foul trouble. You can see he is constantly in foul trouble. 15 minutes, 3 fouls. 20 minutes, 3 fouls. 15 minutes, 4 fouls. 21 minutes, 3 fouls. 20 minutes, 2 fouls. 18 minutes, 2 fouls. 5 fouls, 19 minutes. So he is getting in his own way. So big time, we need to watch ownership here. If ownership gets too wild, there's a lot of reasons to fade him. But he gets 26, 27 minutes, and he's a smash. So really hard to know totally what to do here. That's that information I'm going off, and you make your own decision there. Nemes Quenta was the one starting last time out versus Atlanta. It could be back to Cornet this game. We're not totally sure, but a little interested in him if he starting, or I'm a little interested in the starter position here. My one worry, though, he played 23 minutes when he started, so maybe he doesn't have enough run to fully have a ceiling at a center spot that is a onesie, and there's no utility on FanDuel. AD is just a smash all year. Now, let's get to some pivots. Sabonis, we talked about. Yusuf Nurkic, 5,100. This man is just cheap for the run that he could get. When he gets a little bit of run, he does well. The problem is the Suns' minutes are all over the place with him. 28, 24, 23, 15, 30, 18, 22. Pretty hard to know what to expect when it comes to his minutes and what to do. Now, if you give him 24 minutes, he looks decent. If he gets up to 28, he's a smash. But I don't know what to do. I don't know how to project that. The other thing versus Miami, he hasn't ever really done that well. So maybe you want to fade that pick, but I think it's there's the ceiling to warrant it, I should say. Jalen Duran, 6,100 versus the Hornets. Hornets are without Nick Richards. I think this is an absolute smash spot for Jalen Duran, and there is a giant ceiling when he gets it going. We've seen 50 pluses from him. He just put up 47. If he gets it rolling, I really like this spot for Duran, and I'm fine going there. Center on DK, Quetta, 3,200. He's super cheap if he's starting. Fine. 4,500. Gafford, we covered. Same situation here. At least it's not on DraftKings. There is the utility spot, so you can play another center. So a little interested, but it's the same thing. You just don't know how many minutes he's going to get, and he does have big time foul issues. So if that ownership gets too wild, there are reasons to fade. Cat, 8,100, 12% owned. I can't believe he's still 8,100. The guy put up a 66, a 54. He's lived in the 40s. It's just too cheap. 8,100 is a steal for him. Jokic, we're fine with. Zach Edey, we've seen have a ceiling now, and he plays the Lakers, who aren't great versus big men. Absolutely interested in him as well. So that'll do it for us today, guys. We will be back Friday. There's only 3 games tomorrow night, so we're not going to do a DFS NBA show tomorrow, but we will be back on Friday. Have a good one, guys. I will see you later. Peace. Like, comment, and subscribe, please.